discussion is Navigating the Landscape, Eliminating Obstacles and Reducing Friction on the Path to Optimal PX. Please help me welcoming our moderator for this session, Ms. Vani Garg, founder ConSoul LLP. Very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Joining them, we have the panelists, Mr. Arindam de Sarkar, Head Service Excellence in Hospitality, Woodlands Multispeciality Hospital Limited, Mr. Gaurav Loria, Group Chief Quality Officer and Head Operations, Apollo Hospitals Limited, Mr. Prashant Mahankar, Managing Director, ORGlife Healthcare Private Limited, Mr. Akash, Valia, Managing Director, Docon, API Holdings, Mr. Vaibhav, EM Asia Director, Patient and Healthcare Experience Lead, Pfizer India, Mr. Shashi, Ranjan, Head Customer Experience, Dr. Lal, PathLabs Limited. Let's have a huge round of applause for our panelists and our moderator. Over to you, Vani, ma'am.
Am I audible? Yeah? Okay. So yeah, very long name for a session, but let me summarize it and simplify it. Today we are talking about healthcare and experience in healthcare industry. Something very different we are doing on this forum, and very esteemed panel here, as you heard, and we have practically the entire health life cycle present here. Right from hospitals to diagnostics to medicines and finally to elder healthcare. So I'm hoping to have a very exciting discussion here and welcome panelists. It's an honor to be here with you this evening and looking forward to some great conversation here. Healthcare has never been the same since the pandemic. It was 2 years back. I think it's the most talked about topic over the last 2 years, and that just everyone it's become so important, and it's been transitional in its own way because earlier while it was preventive and sometimes and we were not so careful, we are now very careful. We've also had our own experiences during pandemic, some sweet, some sour, some very helpful. Most of us have happy, successful stories of how we were taken care of during this time. However, this is one industry which has transformationally changed as we feel as outsiders, if we call ourselves customers of healthcare. That is really my opening question, and we start with you, Arindam and Vaibhav. That what has really, like from a customer behavior perspective, do you see any changes in the space pre-COVID and post-COVID in the space? Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Vani. See, basically, when we looked at the healthcare previously, it was like the need that we need to go for a hospital or any healthcare or a doctor when we get sick. That was the need for it. Now, that was before the COVID. Now, when we faced the COVID, we didn't know what was it actually. Even initially, doctors knew the treatment processes and what are the protocols that we follow. But when we had understood the COVID and we overcome that part, now we became very clear that what needs to be done. So in terms of the experiences from the patient's perspective, patients became, I must say that patients and family members became very sincere about any diseases, the hygienic part. They come to know that what needs to be done, what precautions to be done. That's very important. And on the experience part from the healthcare players in the country, they also knew that what all services we need to provide to the patient so that the patient gets a seamless service altogether. Because it's not a testing thing, it's that what we need to do for the patients at the right time so that the patient gets a good care and ultimately gets cured. So both ways, it was a challenge. And post-COVID, it became so easy now to understand, and both their experiences are now much more better, and we can now face any, let's say, third or fourth or fifth, stages of the COVID, because we know what things need to be done. So the experiences have already been experienced by both the parties, and I think the awareness, the hygiene, and the timeliness of doing the test and the treatment has given better experiences to the people across the country, and that will help in the future also for any kinds of other diseases.
Right. So, Shashi, I will come to you. Because diagnostic is something which, people tend to do themselves, or the doctor also suggests what is there. Are there any change in trends because of COVID or post-COVID in that process? Yeah.
So the trend which we have seen in the diagnostic industry post-COVID, the people are more aware about their health, and they are also curious about it. So what we have seen is there is a change in terms of the preventive health checkup, which was likely earlier. It was mostly during the March when we have to do the text filing of it. They used to go for it. However, now what is happening is all the customers, those are very curious about their health, they are going for the regular health checkup, not only for themselves but also including their family members for the health checkup, so that they are aware about what is the trend they have. In case there is a kind of disease, they can identify at the right time, so that the possible treatment can be done.
That's right. Okay, this is a question I have for you, Vaibhav. Gaurav, I'm sorry, I'm continuously calling you Vaibhav. I'm so sorry. So Gaurav, tell me, do hospitals really care about repeat customers?
So, in hospitals we use a terminology which is called continuum of care. So, caring about repeat customers is more about as a responsibility as a hospital. Because, for example, there is a patient who has walked in with diabetes, and you know that he may need future support as well, because it is not a one-time problem that he is going to face. A patient who is coming with a heart disease, a patient who is coming with a cancer, there are multiple other requirements that needs to come in. It's about reminding him about medications, it's about reminding him about his investigations, his blood tests, his follow-up consults with the doctor. It's about the right diet, it's about the right physiotherapy, it's about the right care plan. So there are multiple things that become a part of that care process as the whole continuum of care, which is when the patient is in the hospital, when he leaves. And in some situations and some diseases, for example for cancer, the repeat admission could become a higher probability as compared to many other diagnosis or post-surgery, post-procedures. So you really have to consider that. Thinking all that, I think it's more of a responsibility from a hospital's perspective, whether when this patient needs the care, does he think that I am the best hospital or I am the best provider that I can serve him and take care of him? And also largely on the whole care piece, because you have one physician whom you are connected with, who knows your history, who knows what you have gone through, who knows about your allergies. So it's always better to stick to that doctor, so that your care is standard, it's uniform, it's taken care of, and there are no errors which happen, because the more of kind of doctors you switch, you are exposing yourself to more errors. And that's why, if we have forgotten, there used to be a family doctor concept many years back, which still exists. But then, it's like if a child is sick, you know where to take this child, because he's like a family doctor for us. So the same thing happens with the hospitals, with a little change in dynamics.
Right, fairly so. So yes, hospitals do care about repeat customers. So, Akash, I have a question, which is, there are multiple stakeholders in this journey, right? So there are doctors, and then there are patients, there are caregivers. So how is this sort of evolving, and how do you manage all these stakeholders in this, like Pharmeasy caters to a lot of these audiences, right? So how does that whole thing come up?
Right. So I think Pharmeasy overall is a larger consumer-facing brand that we all know of, but at the back end there are multiple divisions. One of the parts that I head is called Docon, which is part of the API group. It's basically digitalization of the entire doctor-patient journey. Right. So talking about stakeholders in healthcare, typically we have 4 stakeholders. One is the doctor, one is the patient, one are pharma companies, and the third is a hospital. Right? And all of these are customers. So for us, even when I look at my customers, it's not, of course, the prima facie product is for a doctor, but for me, the customer are all these four entities. So in Docon, what we have created is a fully integrated platform where on the doctor front, we have given them a SaaS platform to generate digital prescriptions and manage the patient health history. On the patient front, we are solving the patient's problem, which is to bring all the medical records in one place. So we have a patient app, which allows the patient to see all the medical records and order medicines with one click. So within a click, the prescription can get uploaded and then the medicines are delivered to the patient's doorstep. So that is the entire problem set of the patient side. On the pharma company front, largely what we have seen, and Pfizer is here, so maybe they have comments on that, but pharma company front, what we have seen is they want to know more about the market of where the doctors are, what specialty split is there, what are these doctors writing. So pharma company as a customer, there's a whole different problem set altogether that we solve via analytics. And lastly, the hospitals is more in terms of post consultation care, which means the doctor typically is prescribing either a medicine to a patient, but if it's worse, then hospitalization. And I think on the hospital front, we have enabled hospitals with a portal where they can see the prescription or the medical case get transferred to the hospital. So all these four stakeholders sort of come together and form, honestly, Docon as a product is not as a Docon. So I think that's how we look at all the four customers very differently.
That's like complete tech stack, right? That's
right.
Correct. So are you a technology company or a pharma company? I think that's the best.
Absolutely.
So this is superb. So coming to you, Vaibhav, how do you handle the social media pressure today, right? Because everyone is talking, everyone's complaining. While as a pharma company, of course, you're much back in the value chain, I would assume, but unless that understanding is different. But how do you manage and handle that pressure, or that so much content is getting generated around this medicines and medication and reputation all of it?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, thanks for having me and your audience. I've been interacting with you that you often similar questions, what you were asking. So give an opportunity to kind of clarify. You're right, pharma is typically being seen as towards as a manufacturer, right? And that's what it is. Produce medicine, do research, sell it, and it's more of a regulated B2B business. But when you talk about patients, caregivers, consumers, they have an opinion, they need a chance to speak, they do speak. And it's important to hear, not just hear, actively hear and listen to what they're saying. Pre-COVID, I think there was voice, there was noise, but they were not too directed, right? They would also find an opportunity to go and complain, probably talk to their doctors, because that's the first point of care which they trust, believe in, and talk to, right? Regarding anything, regarding the prescription, that's something which I'm not really liking, my quality of life has suffered, etc. What COVID, done now, it's carried out in the new normal as well, is we find these sentiments being expressed on the social media, right? It could be regarding their quality of life, it could be regarding the care that they require, etc. So when you go and talk to your prime customer, which is also a doctor, the company, you realize that these are expressed, these are sentiments which are being echoed even inside the clinic to a doctor. Now doctors in turn are asking, how are you simplifying this as a pharma company? What are you doing to solve this? How are you making my customer's life easy? That's the patient. How are you making my practice easy? How are you going beyond the pill, which you typically are looked at? So that's there lies a fabulous opportunity, I would say that, right? Social media interactions and communication regarding healthcare have gone up by more than 250% year on year since COVID. So, cumulative 5%. Teleconsultation, my friend here also validate these numbers. More than 750% has increased. This is another opportunity for that consumer, that patient, to actually talk about the services that they're receiving from different stakeholders. Now what we do is, this gives us an opportunity to actively
use different techniques like social listening. And we bucket that very, very cautiously into three, right? What's our consumer thinking? What our consumer is feeling, and what our consumer is actually doing. The think, feel, do is basically where you bucket them in a journey perspective, right? From an experience perspective. So, I'll give you an example of think, feel, and do. So, typically, oncology or cancer is a terminal illness. Typically, many patients perish. They don't live outrun the race, right, against cancer. Now, that not only impacts the patient who's been diagnosed with a terminal illness like cancer, but also the family. They go through a lot of turmoil. They are the ones who are actually writing a lot of expressing their thoughts on social media, also echoing the same point of the doctor. One of these aspects many pharma companies also provide is patient support program or patient assistance program, where the pharma companies are actually supposed to make access to these medications affordable and easy for patients who deserve this, right? Now, typically, we can't advertise this, and we can't go to the market with regulations. But the doctors typically tell the caregiver or the patient about these programs where they can avail these benefits, right, of access to these medications. What happens is, this is the most neglected part, but a most very crucial part in the journey of a cancer patient or a family. Where, if you look at the experience, it's the doctor who's explaining this about the service, and tells them, here is the number, go call the number, get yourself registered, and you will receive benefits. Now, typical average time of a patient on a phone call is almost 2 to 3 hours. It takes around 4 to 5 days to get themselves registered, because they have to supply so many other documents, prescriptions, etc., qualification documents that they have to do. Now, when I'm putting into this bucket like think, feel, and thinking, patient already stressed, caregiver stressed, they're in some sort of shock that they're diagnosed with a terminal illness. Feeling, they're interacting with a call center like this to get themselves registered. If they're disgusted, why am I on the call, waiting for my number to come and I'm able to explain. Doing is, again, due to frustration, they're going back to the hospital or doctor complaining about this, right? After the doctor turns back to a pharmacy, how are you making this simple? So, this is also a reflection of what we're hearing from social media in terms of things we do. What do we do? How do we simplify this? This is typically not what we've been doing at a pharma company that thought about as only manufacturers. We try to make that easy in terms of the whole onboarding process, right? Many pharma companies have come and introduced automation there. Instead of remembering a number and calling a call center, you just give a missed call number or scan a QR code, you're on WhatsApp, which is now available to the caregiver. They can upload their documents on WhatsApp, they get registered on WhatsApp. There is also a recognition that in terminal illnesses like cancer, you also need an expert. So you can switch from a WhatsApp bot to a live agent with an expert while staying on WhatsApp. It could be a doctor now who's talking, part of the patient support program, guiding the patient in terms of their journey. So they feel more cared, more valued, and that feedback or experience goes back to the doctor in terms of appreciation, in terms of what pharma companies are now doing. So start from social media, putting the bucket of things we'll do, improvising and implementing changes that simplify the journey and improve the overall experience. It's only one aspect of the journey that companies are now listening to and improve the long way to go. But this is one example I wanted to show how insights can be translated to point action.
Yeah, this is amazing, right? It's like what any very, very consumer-facing company would do. It's a similar practice one would do in an e-com or retail process. It's amazing. So coming to Prashant, elder care, right? It's such an important part, especially in COVID, and seeing that, like kids, especially for parents who are here and the kids abroad, they couldn't come here, we could fly in for 2 months, literally for 2 years. And there's a whole lot of transformation there, which is taking care of these elder people that are also happening during this time. So what is your view, how this is transforming from the traditional way in India of handling elder care to now?
So see, basically, pre-COVID era, what we say. So first we should understand Indian market. So we are large families in India usually, and someone from our family, chacha, kaka, mama used to take care of someone who is elderly person. But now the scene is changing in India, where families are becoming nuclear. And now these families are becoming nuclear. Couple is working, husband also work and wife is also working. So who will take care of their parents? So this is a major challenge. And after COVID, basically, since I have only one son and who is staying abroad, so who will take care of my parents? So now from the post-COVID area, people started feeling the need to professional care, basically. So someone who is trained to take care of my parents, someone who is know the actual techniques, who can impart the care to my parents, and they want to be rest assured. Now, talking about the seamless experience, once because in elderly care, my customer and my consumer is different. My patient, who is a customer, who is going to receive the care. So my caregiver or my nurse should be very empathetic to the patient. She should be very caring, loving, and sympathetic as well. But my customer who is staying abroad, he doesn't want that headache. What is going to happen to my father? What is going to happen to my mother? And then we should keep our customers updated abroad as well. This is the status of your patient, basically. And seamless experience means giving them the platforms to communicate with the company properly, like WhatsApp, even seamless payment experience. Once this sets, then the patients will be happy and even we can get the best results.
Right. Very, very, very interesting. So similar thing, it's for elders, and you made a very important point, right? The consumer and the customer is different. Someone's going to receive it, and but it's the decision maker and the eventual, scoring will be someone else's experience. So coming to Gaurav, I had a question. What is so critical in the customer experience when you're drawing it in the healthcare industry? What are those critical things one looks at and takes care of, which may or may not be present in other industries, or maybe we could get away with not doing certain things? And how does it make it that much important?
I think it's an interesting question. I think all of us need to understand that healthcare is not something that you can actually even put it under a concept called a service industry. It's like a product industry, service industry, and healthcare. So healthcare is completely different because it's really, really complex. Processes and systems are complex, so it takes a lot to deliver that. And at the end of the day, the end result is, and you're putting someone's life at stake. So the end result is completely dependent on what you're looking at. So when we talk of healthcare, and in very early times, it used to be always that patient comes in for a doctor, and then the doctor is treated, the outcome is good, and the patient goes out happy, and he doesn't look at what the environment is all about. But then with the kind of education, with the kind of development, expectations have been increasing. And with all the expectations increasing, even if you look at the government setup, you look at the private setup, you look at the home setup, all these different kinds of setups, the expectations of patients also differ. If I go to a smaller hospital in a city, the expectations would be different than a larger hospital. Today there are patients who also expect patients, and because it's not only about patients as he rightly commented, it's also about their families because they are a part of the whole process. So it's just not about the patient's food that comes in, it's about the relatives or the attendants who are there in the hospital. Do they have access to good food? And today it's not only just about good food, it's about variety of food. Today if you look at many hospitals, there are variety of cuisines that are offered for relatives and attendants. It's about how do you engage them in the waiting spaces. It's about how do you pass on the information about health to them in the spaces when they are around in the hospital. It's about something very basic in hygiene, offering a clean washroom. It's about very basic and hygiene that you offer the right communication to them, whether it is about the patient, the care process, the outcomes, whether it is about the bills. So, there's a lot on transparency that takes up or takes over in these scenarios. So, I think a lot of these things which are different from industries, but then there are similarities. While in a hospital, so let me give this example. When you walk into a hotel, when you are there for a stay, you are there for a happy time, or probably for work or whatever, but you have not gone there stressed out. You are just there because you need to go there. But in a healthcare or a hospital scenario, you are forced to come in there. You are not come in by your choice. You don't have an option. If you had an option, you would have never entered a hospital. So you really have to think a lot on, what are you offering them, what are you giving them. It's just not about the clinical service and the clinical outcome and the good doctor service. It's about multiple other things that revolves around it, and that makes it more challenging. Because, again, as I said, hospital is very complex. It gets very difficult to focus on the clinical as well as the non-clinical, which has to be offered as a bundle of services, not only to the patient, but also to his family. So you really have to think on all the aspects. Your staff needs to be really trained on being very hospitable. Your staff needs to be groomed well like a hotel to make sure that, you present a good picture. Your staff needs to really know how to address, how to talk. Your clinical teams need to make sure that they communicate, they take care of all the processes. It also involves your medication safety, your infection control, and multiple other aspects in the part of the process. When a surgery is happening, the expectation is that I am operating on the right part of your body. It is definitely a part of the system that your outcome has to be great. You should not end up with an infection at the end of the day. So if you just look at the level of expectations that are there, it's pretty much different. It's very wide scope, and patient is right. Obviously from his perspective he's right, but it's very challenging from a hospital healthcare setup sometimes to balance. Are you good at clinical or are you good at non-clinical? I have been to hospitals in outside India, multiple hospitals. I recently went to one of the hospitals in Abu Dhabi, and just to give an example, they have a huge restaurant, and by the way, people who are not patients, it's like the airport restaurants, you go for a drive-in, sometimes when you're not flying, you go there and have food. So there are people who just go into this restaurant of the hospital to have good food or good coffee.
Wow.
So it's just different. It's just not the same. So it is complex, but yes, all of us strive to live up to the expectations of patients and their families, and I think that's what we continue to do every day.
Wow.
I've been to Lucknow in one of the Apollo hospitals, and actually there's a Starbucks at the basement. And I've actually had a meeting where I had nothing to do with the hospital, but just did a meeting with Starbucks because it's very accessible. And I think that's the thing, right? Patients are not expecting it, nor are the families, but it's the whole delight factor that really brings you again to the hospital, right? It's not just about getting admitted once, it's also about all the services. Like diagnostics, MRI scans, doctor consultations that the hospital has to offer. So, absolutely.
So Arindam, just to, I got some words, convenience and delight. So what would be the KPIs for the customer experience team for a healthcare industry? I can say it's, delight for sure, it's experience, survival, what is it?
See, basically what Gaurav told is very true. It's like hospital plus hospitality.
Right.
Both clubbed together is now the healthcare services.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, when we go for a patient room, now there are choices whether we're going to a single room or a bed sharing. When we see, if you look at the pricing of a hotel room and versus a hospital room, the hospital room charges are very high. So what is the value-added service that we are getting into the hospital? That is very important. Whether the room is facing through any particular view or not is also a mind that actually works in the psychology of the patient. If I have a temple inside my hospital, whether my room is facing the temple or not is also very important. Because these are all your added things that is into the service thing. Now, definitely, your infrastructure, your service, and the people who are giving you the service plays a major role. whether it's a clinical, whether it's non-clinical. So for example, when you're talking about a doctor coming to a patient and visiting the patient, it is very important that how long the doctor is spending time with the patient. The way how he is communicating with the patient, what is the behavioral aspect, that plays a major role. Similarly goes for your non-clinical team also, how you provide the services. So looking at all these services, we finally look at the feedbacks. So like other hospitality sectors, we also have a feedback system in the healthcare.
So you would have an NPS or
always. There is an NPS and all these things. So we come to know that what are our gaps from those feedbacks. It's not the feedbacks are actually opportunities for any healthcare organizations to find out to increase their level of the service standards, to understand where the gaps can be bridged.
Correct.
So I think the experience to make a patient happy along with their relatives happy is a very crucial part. But at the same time, it's the fun in doing that because ultimately you want to see a happy face in your patient.
Right. So we have just time for one more question, and it's I would like each of the panel members to answer this, and we start with you, Prashant, there. That's really, what is that one trend in the healthcare experience piece which you would like to predict for the coming 12 months, 24 months?
Sorry, come again?
Trends, the trend, future trend, what do you predict for the next?
So basically, being into elderly care services and home health care services, so I see future trend for healthcare sector is home health care. So post-COVID, the choice of the people have changed. Now they want to set up an ICU unit at home to avoid outside infection, because people are more cautious about getting acquired infection in the outer vicinity. So home health care is a future. Geriatric care again is a future, because India is a very young country right now and everyone knows that, and by 2050 we will be a elderly country and we will have elderly burden on our society. So out of 5 individuals, there would be one Indian, means 20% of the Indian population would be an elderly population. So, being into the nuclear family, every individual has a burden of 2 elderly people, and then there would be a huge trend for home health care services, ICU setup, because it also saves cost a lot more. So, post-COVID, home health care is going to be upcoming trend. But I would like to focus one thing as well on the insurance part, which we had discussed in the room, that hospitalization is covered in the insurance part. Now home health care is going to be the future. So I would request insurance companies to work on the geriatric care or home health care services to cover into the insurance, because most of the people who are staying abroad or my customers who are staying away from their parents, they are looking for such options. They are looking to insure their parents for home health care services. Some of the companies offer 30 days of post-hospitalization insurance for nursing services or that, but that is not sufficient compared to the cost, which is incurred.
Got it. Home health care.
Yes. Thank you.
So there are 2 major points which I would like to highlight. One is the experience in a new product in the healthcare industry. We are not competing within the same industry, we are also competing with the customer. Those are using Uber, e-commerce companies. So the expectation is completely different. So digital innovation is something which is one of the biggest trends which will come in the healthcare industry. The next is about the time being the new price. So the turnaround time for any kind of a diagnostic or a point of care where I am walking in, I am getting my test done and I am getting the result immediately. That's the second trend which will come in the healthcare industry.
Thank you.
Yeah, so try to keep it. But 2 big trends which I foresee and I hope that will come is one is of integrated care, of the ecosystem being in place. Right now, I think there are many value service providers who come in, right, from manufacturer to hospitals, diagnostic care, patient support programs. They exist, but they exist in silos. That means, I think there will be a time where these ecosystem players will come together to form an integrated ecosystem for care. That will really add value. So the kind of data that will get generated will form the basis for the next trend, which will come, hyper-personalization of content. That's where your brand PPTs of the world would create hyper-personalized content based on the data the ecosystem is providing them, would start creating. So integrated ecosystems and hyper-personalization of content and care. So we move from an economy of being siloed as service providers to an economy of experience. So experience will be the currency which will be measured, and that will be start to gain an ecosystem there. So that's something which I foresee, and I really hope that happens for them. Right, I think, in fact, I'm going to pick that one point from you, right, which is integrated healthcare. What I had in mind was a one-stop healthcare solution, right? I think that's what the market is tending towards, and not just in healthcare, even from a consumer perspective, right? I think almost all of us use Amazon to buy everything from kitchen utensils to maybe our mobile phones. I think a similar way, everybody wants not necessarily a portal, maybe even a physical center where everybody comes under one roof and gets all the services. Of course, historically, hospitals have been that one point place where all the services are given. But you'll always have, let's say, 1, 5 or 10 good hospitals in a particular city, right? And I think this is about to get more decentralized, having smaller healthcare centers where there is medicine, diagnostics, doctor clinics, PSP, patient support programs, all of it sort of under one roof. I think that's one picture that we are going to see.
Sure.
I think it's more going to be about technology, artificial intelligence, and predictive health. It's going to continue to be about robotics. It's about doctors sitting in some other city or a country and then still operating a patient in some other city or a country. It's about predicting, if you are unable to get a heart attack or a brain stroke. It's going to be about ambulance drones to make sure that you are taken care of an emergency immediately. It's going to be about the whole clinical protocols, pathways being fed into technology and the systems to guide the hospital teams as to what's next that you're going to do. So a lot of it is going to be dependent on technology. It has been happening for the last decade, but I think it's going to be far more advanced than what we are doing today based on our experience and learning. That's going to continue.
I think service of the quality and the healthcare, that is most important, because the upcoming thing will be every people should get a proper healthcare facility. That should be the main thing for everyone. Definitely technology, service, everything will be there, but accessibility to the proper healthcare should be given to all the people in the country. That should be the expectation for everyone.
Absolutely. I think all this conversation is making me believe as a customer, consumer, sort of patient, I'm in a very, very safe space, and I'll be taken care of till I grow older, be in elder care. So amazing conversation here. What a great takeaways. Yes, experience is the currency which is going to go forward. Hyper-personalization, that's across industry, across what we hear about AI technology. I think including healthcare, it's on the cutting edge of what is happening across. And there's some great news coming for customers and customer experience professionals. There's so much of excitement and work is happening here. It's been wonderful talking to all of you this evening, and what a learning experience. I didn't know all of this happens in healthcare, and I'm going to be talking for the next 40 minutes outside this room just to get more out of this. It's been thrilling. It's been exciting journey. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's have a huge round of applause for them. And I request Ms. Vani to please present the opening presentation to our panelists.
$128 पण मी त्याला म्हणजे थोडं दिवस राहू दे मी ते चेक करून मला काढून बघतो याच्यामध्ये मी लोड केलं आहे ना डेटा राहू दे मला ठीक आहे कशाला एवढी घाई करतो मला ते समजत नाही. फॉर्मॅट करायची गरज काय होती? ते तुला बोललेलं काय फॉर्मॅट करायची? त्या दिवशी जेव्हा कार्ड आपण वापरतो ना तेव्हाच डेटा फॉर्मॅट मारायचा असतो. पहिला डेटा फॉर्मॅट मारायचंच नाही.